You know, it's a big day when the president's longtime personal lawyer getting sentenced to 3 years in federal prison isn't the news that's most legally worrying for the president that day. Moments after Michael Cohen was sentenced today, the New York federal prosecutors who brought the case against him unsealed this non-prosecution agreement that they had made with a company involved in one of the felonies that Michael Cohen was sentenced for today. It's essentially a partial immunity deal for American Media, Inc., the company that runs the National Enquirer. The company and its chairman, a longtime friend of the president named David Pecker, I know, haha, you can get all his last name is Pecker jokes out of the way in your mind right now. We'll leave those where they are. The company and its chairman apparently secretly entered into this deal with prosecutors in September. And in this deal, prosecutors said the company wouldn't be prosecuted for making an illegal campaign contribution to the Trump campaign when they paid $150,000 to a woman specifically to keep her from talking about her alleged affair with Donald Trump before Election Day. Now, in exchange for that non-prosecution, the company had to agree to help prosecutors, and they had to admit their conduct. This is from prosecutors today. Quote, as part of the agreement, AMI admitted that it made the $150,000 payment in concert with a candidate's presidential campaign, and in order to ensure that the woman did not publicize damaging allegations about the candidate before the 2016 presidential election. AMI further admitted that its principal purpose in making the payment was to suppress the woman's story so as to prevent it from influencing the election. So AMI had previously maintained this fiction that they were really interested in paying this woman $150,000 for her tips on, like, toning your abs and stuff. Had nothing to do. Yeah. They're now admitting that was a $150,000 payment designed to influence the election. So this is federal prosecutors getting an admission from this company that the $150,000 was intended to influence the election, and importantly, that it was spent in concert with the president's campaign. That's the language that they're using. Now, we know that the president's campaign in this instance means Michael Cohen. We also know that it means the president himself. Landmark reporting on this story in the Wall Street Journal just last month showed that when they were setting up this scheme to have AMI pay off women to benefit Trump during the campaign, Trump himself directly worked with Cohen on the overall plot and on the specific payments. So we know doing this in concert with the campaign means Cohen. Through good open source reporting, we believe it also directly means the president himself. So that's one thing to know here. The campaign here means the president, at least the president, if not others. But then the second thing here is the money. So the Justice Department went out of its way to say this when they announced Cohen's sentence today. Quote, in 2016, Michael Cohen made or caused two separate payments to women to ensure that they did not publicly disclose their alleged affairs with the presidential candidate in advance of the election. In one instance, Cohen caused American Media, Inc., AMI, to make a $150,000 payment to one woman. In the other, Cohen made a $130,000 payment to another woman through an LLC he incorporated for the purpose of making that payment. Cohen was reimbursed for the latter payment in monthly installments disguised as payments for legal services performed pursuant to a retainer, when in fact, no such retainer existed. Cohen made or caused both these payments in order to influence the 2016 election and did so in coordination with one or more members of the campaign. So part of the scheme here, as outlined by federal prosecutors as they secure prison time for Michael Cohen in conjunction with these felonies, part of the scheme here, according to prosecutors, is the fact that Cohen was paid back the money that he used to commit this felony. It was the Trump Organization that paid Michael Cohen back. But according to prosecutors now, not just according to open source reporting, but according to prosecutors, the Trump Organization covered up what the money was for. They called it a legal retainer for Michael Cohen when in fact it was no such thing. Again, that's according to prosecutors today. We also know that the Trump Organization paid Cohen a ton more money than he supposedly needed as this reimbursement here. Cohen paid out $130,000 in that illegal campaign contribution, but the Trump Organization, quote, reimbursed him way more than that. He paid out $130,000, they paid him back $420,000. $420,000. What was all the extra money for? I mean, if the cover-up of the illegal payment is part of the crime that prosecutors are pursuing here, all of this financial dancing around and all of this financial lying in order to cover up what was really going on here. If the financial cover-up is part of what prosecutors are pursuing here, and as of today, it seems like they are, then are they about to charge the Trump Organization for falsifying their own records to cover up what Michael Cohen did? I mean, prosecutors are saying those were false records that covered up what Michael Cohen did when he was committing this felony in concert with the campaign, by which we mean Donald Trump. The Trump Organization covered it up by lying in their financial records about what the trail was of the money. Well, who actually cut those checks to Michael Cohen when they're giving him hundreds of thousands of extra dollars on top of what they were calling his legal retainer, even though it wasn't a legal retainer and it was understood to be reimbursement for the illegal payments he had made to benefit the campaign? If that's part of what prosecutors are pursuing here, we should know who cut those checks, right? In a deposition about the Trump University fraud in 2015, Allen Weisselberg, the CFO of the Trump Organization, said under oath in a deposition that the same small group of people have check writing authority across all of the different Trump-related entities. This is from that deposition. Question: as you sit here today, do you believe anybody beyond you, Mr. Trump, and Mr. Trump's children, do you believe anybody else other than that core group was authorized to sign checks on behalf of Trump University? Answer from Allen Weisselberg: I would say that seems to be the group that we've used over the last number of years to sign checks over all our entities. All our entities. So the answer is Trump, Trump's adult children, and Allen Weisselberg. Those are the people who could cut checks at all Trump-related entities. Well, you can hive off Allen Weisselberg from that because he has reportedly been granted immunity now in this case as well, in exchange for him helping prosecutors. AMI got immunity. Allen Weisselberg got immunity. Well, that leaves the president and his adult kids. And the overt contention by federal prosecutors now is that whoever had check writing authority at the Trump Organization, they used the president's business to cover up the financial trail of this felony, which is apparently a trail these prosecutors are pursuing, in part by giving immunity in exchange for cooperation to everybody else involved in this felony who isn't named Trump.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.